Digimodify. Podcast activate.
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 72 of LostinTranslationmon. I'm May.
And I'm Jay.
This week we watched The Imperfect Storm.
Or Urgent Message from the Digital World. Kulamon is...
Kazu's Upgrade.
Or Friendship with Gajamon. Tamer Hero Kazu. I also wanna fight.
For DigiNews this week, we have some Applimon news. So, episode 2 of Applimon was released on the same website as episode 1. So, I think it's pretty safe to assume that episode 3 and all future episodes will be released that way, hopefully. So, it was on the TV Tokyo website that it was on for the first episode.
I think if Netflix has taught us anything, is that it doesn't matter how much something goes up there, you might not get everything. Like, the Austin Powers movies, the third one never existed.
No. When Netflix first came here, the first and third Austin Powers movies were on there.
Right.
And now it's just the first and the second.
And how Terminator I think had 1 and 3.
Yeah, and also they don't have the IT crowd was there, and now it's not all of a sudden, and I'm very sad.
At least Father Ted's still there.
Yeah, but Father Ted's still there. And in other Applimon-related news, a bunch of Applimon stuff is being released this month, and if I have time, as my purchases arrive, I'll try to do short video reviews on them. I know that some people are interested to see the quality of the Digivices as well as the toys. And
it's bad, like the show.
No, don't take this from me.
I haven't seen any of it.
No,
It's probably bad though.
It's aimed at kids.
Like you.
Yes. Anyway, so I will be trying to do short video reviews on these. If this is what I think people will want, I hope so. Some people have asked me if I am, so that's why I'm doing it, because people said they'd be interested in. But if you have any suggestions of things you really want to see, I'll try to definitely cover them. But as it goes, it might just be ones that I particularly am interested in. But if people make suggestions, I may do videos if I have them. And for the last bit of DigiNews, a Clearer Try Chapter 4 poster was released, and it's definitely Tapiamon or Bakumon on the poster.
I saw that. It is.
Which is worrying, because it has something to do with dreams. So
All tries a dream.
I'll be so mad if if they pull any, it was a dream the whole time stuff on this movie, I will, just destroy my Digimon collection. I don't know,
Yeah.
It's one of my least favourite tropes in media is, oh, but it was all a dream. Or, oh, the big bad is a dream now. It's up there with separation as a plot point.
Separation?
When you separate the characters, which is what Digimon Tamers keeps doing, it's ruining the show.
No, separating the characters is fine.
Oh, it's something I do not like in media.
But it's a thing that could legitimately happen.
I know, but it makes me, I don't know.
It's not really a plot point. You're thinking Amnesia.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, they have amnesia. How convenient.
On to LostinNewsLatelymon. We're speeding up the release of old episodes to YouTube, because otherwise if I do them once a week, it'll take a year and a half to upload them all. So I'm going to try and do them daily, but that's unreasonable because...
You're on a Digimon adventure, try to do it.
I hate you so much.
Yeah.
I hate you so much.
It will take longer because there are bonus episodes.
Yeah, look, we have almost...
There were some weeks where we did 3 episodes.
We have 100 episodes. No, yeah, we have 100 episodes. And so, reasonably, I probably won't be able to do them once a day. I mean, I've already fell behind on that, but I'm going to try and put as many out as possible because I don't want it to take a year to upload them all.
You're going to steal so much of my internet.
I've uploaded 5 with my internet, okay?
Yeah, and how many from us?
Well, I've only uploaded 6 so far. So.
Oh, well, what
I've uploaded 2 at your place,
What
okay?
I'm actually saying is you're not using mine enough.
Yeah, I should use yours more. But the internet here is still slow, and it would be much quicker if, Australia had subpar internet, but it doesn't because...
If it does
Australia.
have subpar internet.
No, it's below subpar.
Oh, okay, we're not even subpar.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we had decent or subpar or manageable internet.
I'm not really sure that's how that set scale works. If you're below ground level, it doesn't matter how far below ground level you are. You're not sub below ground level.
Yes, you can be below. There's 0 degrees, which is cold, and then there's, negative 10 degrees, which is also cold, and then there's negative 50 degrees, which is very, very cold.
But subpar is about a line. It's about a bar.
Yes.
So what you're saying is that you go so far below the bar, there is a new bar which you are now below as well.
We are far below that bar.
I'm not sure that's true. I feel like Somalia has worse internet than us.
But
You can't argue with me about that. It almost certainly does.
yeah, but They don't have a Digimon podcast there, probably, do
That's
they?
also true.
But no, I am aware that there are places in the world with worse internet than Australia. I'm just saying that Australia has bad internet. It's very bad. And, yeah, compared to other places in the world, it's bad. But it's, it's possible. You can get things to work. It's just, it's better.
Possible? It's just the way that people in Boston say possible.
It's been as possible to have internet.
It's not possible.
Anyway, last bit of Lost News Lately-mon is that the current Patreon milestone says that we should play the next board game and release audio versions of the fanfic. As for the board game, this relies on us setting up time with friends, which we will do as soon as possible. So we will be working on that, and hopefully Sasha will lend us the camera again. So I'm relying on Sasha being there.
They won't have to press the button every 12 minutes.
No, that was easy for me, okay? It was easy for editing.
Fair.
So, because I didn't have to separate them in 12-minute parts, okay?
God,
that was desirable.
Oh,
desirable.
Okay,
Desirable.
hopefully we don't have lights that fall over everywhere.
No, it added to the magic of the...
Well, it was more entertaining than the actual game, to be fair.
Yeah. So we want to do that again.
That game has more player things in the box than it is designed for.
Rest in peace, Sash.
It's a 6-player game with 7 playable pieces.
Yep.
It doesn't tell you.
It just I think it just says that nobody who likes Digimon has that many friends.
They're like, we're already really pushing it with 6.
I think they should have made it clearer, because, I guess it's saying you can choose between the 7 characters, but you can't actually play them.
Oh, it's so stupid.
See, that's why they had Kari in the middle, even though you'll find the Dark Masters.
No, they kidnapped her, because that's what happened in the show. I forgot how dumb that game was until I started thinking about it.
No, but, so this board game, it uses the minifigures.
What are those?
The little figures, the mini.
Oh, you showed me those. Those were actually kind of nice, weren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't coloured well, but they were nice.
Wait, which ones do you think I'm talking about?
The ones that are flat colours?
Oh, no, that's the other Digimon board game. That's
oh my god,
that's in
why
Japanese.
there's so many?
I know, the one I'm talking about is in English, and it uses the minifigures.
Can you use your gem figures instead? They're way nicer.
Yeah, sure, you can use a Lotmon one, because I don't have a Lotmon minifigure, because it's like $50.
Yes.
I'm going to use either Airdramon or Deramon, because it's a bird with a bow tie.
Fair.
The last part of that Patreon milestone is, us reading my very bad fanfiction that I wrote when I was very young. So
I imagine I'm doing voices in that.
Yes, so the plan is, and I think I mentioned it with you when we first came up with the Patreon milestone, we will be doing special podcast episodes, which we will cover, a few chapters of per whatever amount of time, and I will be narrating it, and Jay will be doing the voices, including my own.
Hi, I'm May.
I don't sound like that.
I'm very young and very self-inserted into this fanfiction.
Why do you sound like a 12-year-old boy?
Because that's what you would sound like today.
Good point. But I don't sound like a 12-year-old boy.
If you said, hey, Agumon, let's go fight the digital world, then I'd be like, well, you're a protagonist.
Hey, Agumon, let's go find the digital world.
I didn't say find, I said fight.
Fight the digital world? See, that sounds violent. Just punch the digital world.
Yeah, deserved it.
The first episode that we're watching this week is called The Imperfect Storm, or Urgent Message from the Digital World. Calamon is... What do you think will happen this episode?
Calamon becomes a storm. I don't know, they sent a message about it? Like, it's just, I'm trying to combine them, it doesn't make much sense, and obviously the title is trying to keep you in suspense. The Imperfect Storm means, to me, that there is a Digimon that shoots lightning, and they're going to try and play off with that. At the same time, an urgent message from the digital world. God, who would even say that to anybody else? Because everyone you care about is in the digital world already. Maybe we just find out what Calamon is, or like more specifics about why he makes people evolve. I can't really tell you. This is the height of vagueness. That's not true, but it's up there.
Do you think anything will annoy you in this episode?
I'm a little afraid that it's going to be a comedy episode, like the Imperfect Storm is like some electric Digimon that's all comedy Bushido. I don't know.
Do you think it'll be a good episode?
Not really. I don't get good vibes out of it.
What rating do you think you'll give it?
I think I will give it a 7... No, wait, hold on. I'll give it a 6.5.
Right.
Precisely.
Will be filler or not filler?
It will be just enough stuff happen that it's not filler.
Right.
Much in the same way that time that like Immon evolved, well, that was filler, but
Yeah.
but it wasn't, but
Yeah.
it was.
But a thing happened in the background.
Yeah, but
So
it
you think
was
it's gonna
filler.
be like filler, but something important happened.
Yeah.
Right. The second episode that we're watching this week is called Kazu's Upgrade or Friendship with Gardromon Tame a Hirokazu. I also want to fight.
And I want to die.
What do you think will happen in this episode?
I think Kazu might get a Digimon that's called Gardramon. There's nothing else in
I
this.
can't remember if we've seen Gardromon before or not.
I don't know.
I think we might have.
If it was Drummon, I would have a guess, but it's Gardromon, so maybe it's a robot. I don't really know.
Do you think anything will annoy you in this episode?
Kazu. All of him, I want him to go away. I know that, and we've been over this, he's great in Japanese, blah, 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 but I hate the dorks. I don't want them to be there. They waste everyone's time. You don't need these weird two comedy nerds next to your legitimate serious team. Let them have character development. Instead, we're going to focus on these guys because, oh no, we don't have enough toys to sell.
Well, I think, like, Ruki's the only one who's, like, completely legitimate feelings about that. Because everyone's like, oh, yeah, they're kind of here, too. Ruki's the only one who's like, they shouldn't be here. They don't have partners. They're just going to slow us down. They're burdens.
Like, I don't think Juri should be there either. I honestly...
He has a Leomon.
Yeah, I know, but
It's safe.
I know, but the issue is, to me, is you had these three very strong characters with their three interesting Digimon, and you've added these three new characters on who are generally uninteresting, whose Digimon are also vaguely uninteresting. I mean, Leomon, I don't really care about at all. I'm sure Gardramon will be boring. I don't even know what's happening with Kenta, and just it smells to me much like the Rio thing, which is like, what do you mean we only have 3 characters? That's not enough merchandise we can sell. Think about how many figures you've had to buy from Adventure because there are 8 characters.
Those gem figures are the death of me. And then they sell them with their, like, perfect level
They would make
partners.
a third of the amount of money on the same deal with Tamers because they've only got 3 real characters.
Yeah.
And that's a marketing department being like, come on!
Yeah, it's like the Bandai Asia decided there weren't enough Digivices in the show, so they invented colours. So they're like, I think it was before they released them throughout Tamers' run, so maybe the other Digivices we hadn't seen yet. So they just have they have an Ipmon coloured one that's like purple, yellow, and red.
I wish Digimon had a tamer. That'd be cool. You could have done something awesome with that, but no, he just evolved. It's really... I feel like Tamers had a lot of promise with a lot of cool stuff it could have done, and is kind of dropping the ball on it a little bit. That's how I feel. Which is weird, because you said that the second half of the season is when it gets good. I feel like this has been the weakest part of Tamers by a long way.
This is like the start of the... I don't think it's fully like the second half, because there are 50 episodes... Oh, no, maybe not. We're up to episode 30 now. Okay, maybe...
This is the weakest part of the whole thing so far.
I think it gets better. I hope it gets better.
Okay, me too.
I think sometimes the dub drops it a bit.
Oh, for sure.
Like, having to watch it twice, I think, makes it a lot worse.
Dub drop.
Dub drop, yeah. Pachoom! That was a terrible dub drop. I'm just gonna...
I'm glad that you went with that version of the joke and not the one I was talking about, because that's not cool for this.
It's like drop the bass.
Okay, cool.
Oh, what happens
That's all right. I'll explain
dubstep, it
I'll
goes
explain the joke to you later.
the drop. Okay. Have I asked you? Do you think that anything will annoy you, or was that?
I said that Kazu would annoy me.
Oh yeah.
And even if he's okay in Japanese, his English one will annoy me. And he's going to be really abrasive. And I'm actually afraid in future episodes, before Kenta gets his, that in like the Japanese, he's probably going to make fun of Kenta for like, I got my Digimon first.
So you think Kenta's going to get one?
Yeah, probably. I have this. Also, I wish they hadn't pulled the trigger on them getting Digimon this quickly, because I thought that the joke of like, is that a Digimon? I mean, pros and cons was funny. If you're going to have them around, then at least you could have done that.
So do you think this is his actual partner, or it's just like, do you think it's the title making a joke, and he thinks that it's his partner, but it turns out not to be?
I would be on board with that if only one title suggested it, but both titles suggest it.
Okay. So do you think it'll be a good episode?
Not really, because it's really Kazu focused.
Yeah.
I have this. Although, you know what they should have done? I'm realizing in that one with Digimon and Babamon, they should have called it like Megalo Kazumon and stuff.
Yeah.
Would that not have got you to watch it immediately? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Then you would have been really disappointed when they found out.
Yeah, Hirokazu, Shinka, Megalo Kazumon. Like, turns out Kazu and Kenta were Digimon the whole time.
Oh my god, that'd be awesome.
What rating will you give it?
Sorry, that was like an adventurer's battle. It's like humans turning out to be Digimon. The rating, I'm gonna give this a 5.
Wow.
I'm not gonna like it.
That's like the lowest we've had for a while from memory.
That's the lowest, like, guess, I think.
Filler or not filler?
It's not. It's not filler, but, like, it'll be the sort of thing where, like, it's not filler because something happened and he got a Digimon, right? But then at the end of the day, that's all that happened, and because it's Kazu, it may as well be filler.
By the way, do you think the groups will still be separated?
No, I think they'll meet up. Wait, hold on.
Ruki's on her own.
Yeah, I think she might stay on her own for a little while.
Okay.
Just for a little bit.
Anything else you want to guess about these 2 episodes, or should we go on to watching them now?
I want to go to sleep, but I guess we have to talk about the rest of the show now.
Alright, on to the show.
The first episode that we watched this week is episode 30, and it's called The Imperfect Storm, or Urgent Message from the Digital World, Kulamon is... And it starts with Ducato and the others, who are sleeping in a cave, and then Ducato and Gilmon wake up because it's their turn to keep watch. And I had a bit of like an internal debate with myself about whether or not them sleeping is stupid or not, considering the last episode they discovered they don't really need to sleep. And then I just...
Did they say that?
Yes.
Because they don't need to eat.
No, they don't need to sleep. Because Juri says she's not tired, and they basically established they don't need to sleep or eat. And basically, I came to the conclusion of they're sleeping to pass time, not because they need to. It's like how
That
they
makes
eat.
no sense.
They eat because they don't need to eat, but they can still eat.
No, they're totally different things. Because one of them is an inconvenience, which is you having to eat, and so you're like, oh, we don't do that though because we don't have to. Mm-hmm. But it's also kind of enjoyable. But if you don't need to sleep, that's twice as much time to look for Kulamon, which is your goal.
I think they don't want to be out during the night because things go bump in the night.
When have they ever said that?
I don't know. This is just my conclusion that I came to myself. It was a bit of a debate. I had to pause the show and think why this is stupid and how I can make it not be stupid. And my conclusion was they're doing it to pass time because the darkness is bad.
It can't be a choice because they're legitimately tired.
Also, like...
Sleepy Terriermon. He's so sleepy.
Because he's a Digimon.
Well, that means you need to sleep there.
Oh,
Digimon don't actually need to eat.
Oh, but they want to.
Oh, they want to, but they don't need to. So I'm saying, like, if they're tired enough that Jen is like, oh, God, yeah okay, it's the end of the night shift. Rather than... Because if he didn't need sleep, he'd be like, cool, yeah, end of the night shift. Okay, off to sleep now.
Okay, I was just pretty sure that they established in the last episode that they didn't have to sleep.
I remember them only talking about needing to eat.
Oh.
Because, whatever. Like, if they had the option to not sleep, it would be the most rational thing to not sleep.
Anyway, so Ducato relieves Henry of his job, being the night watch, and Henry in the dub starts warning them not to fall asleep, and he's quite... I don't know, it seems quite nasty.
I didn't notice.
Also, he picks up Terriermon by the ears, and Terriermon does not look amused. He's so tired.
Because it's very clear that Terriermon was asleep already. It's so cute. I love that image.
I love him so much. Ducato then worries where Ruki and Renamon are and what they're doing. And then, because we get to see what they're doing. And they are in a forest with some flying white friends.
I can't believe they're not in the cloud place anymore. They just skipped out of there without telling you how she left the sky.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and are these the same things that were following Kulamon around?
Yeah, they're Kulamon's friends.
I've called them Kulamon's imp friends, sprite friends, because I don't know what else they would be.
So, and they don't... Okay, I'm not sure I'm not remembering this correctly, but they're pretty quiet in the original, right?
They do little giggles, I think.
Yeah, but they're not, like, annoyingly so. Like,
no.
in the dub, they're making such a loud noise. And Renamon looks at Ruki and knows that she's asleep, so she just ignores the flying friends and tries to get back to sleep. In the dub, Renamon is annoyed by the flying friends and mentions how Rika shouldn't be able to sleep through their chatter. And then she says that she's starting to sound like Rika, and it's disturbing that she's sounding like her. I feel like this is... It's a pretty silent scene in the original. It's just her wondering if Ruki's awake to see the friends, and then goes back to sleep.
Yeah, it's an establishing shot.
Yeah, and also it's a really caring shot. I don't know. It shows their relationship. It's quite a sweet shot in the original. She just looks over at her when she's sleeping.
It is interesting that of all the relationships, this is the one where, despite Ruki being the most experienced of all the tamers, Renamon looks after her.
Yeah.
Rather than the other way around.
Yeah. Well, Renamon is definitely the most mature partner besides Leomon, but he's an adult, so...
But also he's new. We don't really know yet.
Do you like Ruki and Renamon, by the way?
I do.
Because I know when I first showed you Ruki's design, when the figure came out, just before we started Tamers, and you said that you were ready to hate her.
Oh, well, in English I do. In English I have problems with her. But that's because things are different there. And I'm obviously socialized from a Western background where I knew that what that character would be like. And they were. But the Japanese one's much nicer.
She's better than Matt?
Yeah, of course she is.
Do you think she's like the Matt of the group?
I mean... There are obvious differences, one of them being that she is provably the most capable, so it kind of makes sense for her to feel like she's a bit better than everyone else.
Yeah.
Because she is.
Yeah.
No, because Matt thought he was the most capable, but was an idiot and constantly failed. And that's one of the reasons I hate him, is that he thinks he's better than everyone else, even though he has no reason to think that.
I love Taichi so much.
Yeah. And so, yeah, he hasn't earned anything, where Ruki is actually quite intelligent, and it makes sense, and it's different. Yeah, basically. She's understandable in why she feels this way about it, like everybody and what's going on, whereas Matt's just super annoying, and sometimes he punches people, and that apparently makes them best friends.
Yeah, it's a punch of friendship. We then see that Postmon is on his bike, and he's talking about how this is the body he wanted, and it's at full strength, but he won't know how strong that is until he fights, and then he starts screaming about how he wants to fight.
I love that he's doing that while just riding his bike alone in the middle of the desert.
He's so edgy.
They've done bits in the Japanese where people will think stuff. He could. He chose not to.
Yeah. Do you like Postmon, by the way?
I like his design to an extent.
Do you think he's going to be... He's like, actually super evil?
Nah, not really. Because he won't clarify the fact that he's a Deva. I don't think that he'll be like... I mean, he's obviously a bad guy at the moment, but I don't think he'll stay that way for the whole series.
Do you think he'll actually hurt any of the kids, or he'll just fluff around it?
I think he will try and fail. And I reason at some point that I think that he looks like if Devimon stopped being a weird leather goth and instead decided to try being a cool biker. But, like, again, he overdoes it.
Rolling.
Okay, that was a great reference in a terrible way.
That no one will get, except for, like...
Actually, it's so... That's a really good comparison, going from, like, the evil warlock
The Undertaker.
to the biker.
Yeah. I think a grand total of 2 of our listeners like wrestling, so that's fine.
Okay, Beelzebub is just big evil. Sorry, no, let me rephrase. He's booger red.
Who's Kenny Omega?
Oh, he's great. I love him.
I love him so much. What a mega weeb.
One day you'll reach for the stars and you'll be inspired, and on that day you'll get so close, and then someone like me will come by and take it from you.
Anyway, in the dub, Beelzebub says more or less the same thing, but he adds on that he now has intelligence and looks.
They're back at we go back to the kids, and we see that they're discussing sort of what to do, and one of the ideas that gets thrown about is that they should go back to the flag. And I think in the English version, it's another one of those weird situations where Terriermon sasses Jen.
Yeah.
He's never really meant to. He sasses everyone else. Because Takaharu's like, we should go back to the flag, and they talk for a bit, and then Jen goes, yeah, we should go to the flag. Terriermon goes, yeah, that's an original idea.
Yeah, oh my god. But to be fair, in the original, it's actually Jen's idea, and he's saying how he thinks that they should look for Ruki before they continue to look for Calamon, because they should be together. And yeah, in the dub, it's Takado's idea. So, and they've done this quite a few times, that they've changed ideas from being like one of the not Goggle kids and to make it a Goggle kid idea.
You gotta have a leader.
And that
If he's got goggles, he's a leader. That's how Davis happened.
And I don't know, it's weird. And I feel like it was earlier in the season too, they did it with, I think Ruki said something, but then instead they made it someone else say it.
Yeah, I don't remember what the situation was, but that sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
So they're walking along,
Yep.
and I remember Juri specifically says that she likes Ruki, which I thought we get a pop from you.
Yeah, it's because Kenta says that it's hard to get along with Ruki, but in the dub, Kenta says that he doesn't like Rika at all.
Yeah.
And then Kazu says that it must be because she looks down on them for not having partners. And then Juri turns around and says that she likes Ruki. And Kazu and Kenta just say, oh, that's because you've got a partner.
I thought it was in the English one they said that.
No, in the dub, it's the same sort of thing, except Rika says, oh, you just haven't gotten around to knowing her yet. I like her. And it's sweet, and I really like their friendship. It's just gals being pals.
Yeah, and so Leon tells them, oh yeah, totally, you'll definitely get partners, whatever. Then he turns back, Jerry goes, you really think that? And he goes, no, I just wanted them to shut up. And in the Japanese, there's like a pause where she's like, what? Like she really doesn't believe he would do that?
Yeah.
And in the English, she just laughs immediately. There's no pause.
Though also, Leomon is a little bit nicer. Like, in the original, he said it because he didn't want them to be depressed.
Yeah.
But in the dub, he said it to shut them up because
Yeah.
they were annoying. And a bit before this, when they're discussing, before Juri asks Leomon if he meant that, Kenta says that, Kazu says that he wants Angemon, and Kenta says that Angemon wouldn't be a partner for him. In the dub, Kenta says that Angemon wouldn't be a good partner for him, and that he'd be the Digimon Emperor before Kazu gets an Angemon.
I think it's so weird they're talking about the Digimon Emperor.
Yeah, because they watched it, and I guess if they're going with that, that's fine. I like the little references.
Wouldn't it be really weird to them that they never slashed any cards in that?
You're like, where are their cards?
How could they possibly... Also, why doesn't anyone ever talk about it in the English form? Why don't you jog wrestle already? Like, you would take all of the bits you've seen and start being like, whatever. In
Yeah,
fact,
definitely.
Wouldn't they be like, this doesn't look like the show?
Yeah.
In the English one? I think the problem is obviously that doesn't happen in the Japanese. But in the English one, there should be all these references to what they already knew in advance.
Well, if they fit in some. Anyway,
It's very rare.
in both versions, Kenta says that Kazu would get a Sukamon. And I like that. And then Kazu basically starts strangling him.
Yeah! Violence.
And obviously this is cut in the English version. But when there's an awkward moment when Juri looks behind to watch them, we see Kazu leaning towards, like, off-screen. And he's, like, looks like he's strangling someone off-screen. But they tried to cut it, but once you realise...
Every time they put their faces together, they're like, nope, nope, nope,
Yep.
nope.
In the dub, they call each other Dorkmon. Or saying, you'd get Dorkmon.
God, that's something that I would say.
Yeah, I was about to say that. That sounds like something that you would say to me. Like, oh, you won't get Airdramon, you'll get Dorkmon.
I just remember this next bit when they find the flag is gone. And Gilmon smells around, he finds Colomon's trail, and then Terriermon pipes up. And it's the best part of both episodes. He holds up his ears to be like Colomon. And I don't remember what he says exactly.
Yeah, but he ends his sentence with how they'll keep on looking. Clue?
And everyone stares at him like, what? And then they continue like nothing happened.
Yep, and then the little ball goes past. Like the data packet tumbleweed. And in the dub, it's the best line ever.
Now that Calamon's a real criminal, will he be punished with a public flagging? What? I thought that was a reasonable question.
Flogging.
He says flagging because it's a flag, and that's why everyone stops because it's a bad pun.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he says public flagging because he stole a flag.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
And everyone stops, and then Leomon replies to what he says about him may or not being a criminal or not, but I still like the just ignoring what he said. Can we just step back to the Leomon part? Because
Nope.
I actually have written down what the difference between what Juri says. So, after Leomon says that he just did it to cheer them up or to shut them up or what have you, in the original, Juri says, I hope they get partners. In the dub, she doesn't say anything, she just giggles.
Yeah.
Because Leomon is mean.
And she's like, yeah, I love that.
Then we see that Reika and Yamaki are having food, like are going to have food together. So I guess they're basically together. I guess
for sure.
I do not remember this part. I didn't realize.
He's like sitting on the couch, and she's like, "You want breakfast?" He's like, "Yeah, all right."
It's seemingly surprisingly more obvious in the dub because she says, "Breakfast on the table, Mr. Bossman."
I think that's so weird.
I think it's cute.
You wouldn't call him that. You wouldn't talk like that at home.
It's really flirtatious. Maybe they're just like, I don't feel like they've got like a super like in-depth relationship at the moment. I think it's maybe the start of it or like, I don't know. We then see that the government are using Yamaki's equipment and testing it for their own use. And it's pretty much implied that Yamaki was being sacked. In the dub, for some reason they're talking about getting Yamaki back. And I just find it really weird. Like, I know he's pretty sure he got sacked. That's why he's sitting at home on a couch.
Yeah, there's a difference between the Japanese, like, all right, well, we've got all this stuff and we're going to use it now. And in the English, we're like, there's only one man who knows how to use this, but we're going to try anyway.
Yep. And they want to activate Shagai, and they want to use it to investigate and just to test it, basically. In the dub, they want to work it fully, and it's not just a test. They want to activate it. And I just found that a weird difference.
That's very minor.
Yeah. And then so wind starts up in the digital world and there's a sandstorm. And Takato, the one with the goggles, shields his eyes with his hands.
Oh, this is the one! I didn't even notice. I
No.
watched it twice and I didn't notice.
No, this is it.
This is the one with that image you showed me.
Yeah, he's putting his arms up and he's like, the sand's in my eyes. I'm like, but you have goggles, sweetheart.
You don't call anyone sweetheart.
I call Takato sweetheart because he is a sweetheart, okay? Then a data stream comes towards them, and oh my god, I'm so glad that Kazu and Kenta didn't go into it again because that'd be really
I
ridiculous.
theorized at this point, and I guess I could be wrong, but when the Shagai is going and the data streams are whipping around everywhere, that's how Digimon keep ending up in the real world.
Maybe. Well, that would make sense. Like, if they're being transported places, maybe one of those places is closer to the real world. Anyway, so Gilmon finds a cave which they then hide in, And then Dakato's bag starts glowing, and it's a comm device. Then Dakato sends a message to Yamaki saying that everything is okay. Then the storm stops, and the comm device turns off again.
Is a comm device not just a phone?
I feel like it's PDA, like it's got like email.
Also, having reception and being on are two very different things. The fact that it turned on when it got reception and then turned off when it lost it is ridiculous.
Maybe it only works when it's in reception.
Why would it be designed that way?
Because it's in the script.
I wanted to write a note, but I can't. I have no reception.
We then see that Ruki is still in the forest, and she asks Renamon what the flying friends are. Renamon says that she's not sure, but it's proof that the beings in this world aren't only Digimon. In the dub, Renamon calls them Diginomes and says that they're friendly. So this is a difference of Renamon not knowing what they are and Renamon knowing what they are. Ruki then says that she doesn't want creepy mushrooms anymore. In the dub, Rika asks for gnome repellent.
Okay, well, one of those is reasonable.
Yeah, and later on, when we see what Renamon's doing, is she's grabbing creepy mushrooms. I just found like that was a nice touch. We then see what Beelzemon is doing, and he stops his bike, and this country music starts up, and he finds a nest of Kurisarimon, and says they're only adult level, but fine for a snack. Then his character song starts up, and he starts shooting them, and it's so awkward. As he shoots, the bullet slows down, like in slow motion, and sort of passes next to the Kurisarimon.
Well, you know what it is? It's very simple. The bullets are CG. The Kurisarimon are all, 2D animated.
Yeah, it looks so weird.
So they want to show off their 3D animation, so they have the bullets really slowly turning through the screen, and nothing can react to them because they're not animated the same way.
Yeah.
Oh, we died, I guess. None of them moved out of the way of the incredibly slow-moving bullets.
And it's just, I don't know, it's kind of weird looking, but I guess it's because it's meant to be dramatic, and it sort of goes with the character song, so it's not that bad. However, in the dub, when they're not using the character song, it just looks really weird. Did you notice that?
I noticed it especially because I was watching it at double speed, and if anything goes slowly at double speed, you know it's really slow.
Yeah. Back in the forest, Kalamon is there, and his head starts glowing, and that causes the Kurisarimon to evolve and fuse together to become Infamon.
Yeah, all their dead parts fused together.
Do you remember Infamon?
I do.
He was in that movie.
Wait,
What?
hold on.
A war game.
Oh, is that? Oh, right, that's why I looked familiar. I thought it was the other different spider.
No, Infamon evolves into Diaboromon.
Well, this is stupid. But, why do the dead parts evolve? That's not even evolution.
It's fusing together. It's Jogress.
Can they jog? Can Kulamon jog rescue now? Did all the Kurisarimon have the requisite, hearts beating as one?
Well, we've seen that the Kuramon do that before, when they all fused together to become an egg in The Revenge of Diaboromon.
That movie didn't happen.
No. It was better than Hurricane Touchdown.
That's true. Everything is better than Hurricane Touchdown.
I just love our war game so much.
I love going to a Dasama memory.
Then Infamon shoots it at Beelzemon, and Beelzemon laughs it off and says that he feels great. In the dub, he jokes about it hurting his feelings. Infamon charges at Beelzemon, but then he jumps over him and uses his Darkness Claw to defeat him. Then he absorbs him. Then Katsuramon finds him and says the Deva have met their end of the deal, and Beelzemon says that he knows, and it's almost begrudgingly that he says, yeah, I know.
Well, that makes sense, because he kind of got what he wanted from them,
Yeah.
and he doesn't really want to be part of the deal anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I got it, I'll just leave now.
Yeah. But also, I feel like he likes the kids and he's grown to like them, and it's shown that with the montage in the last episode. And in the dub, Beelzemon is less hesitant. He just says, yeah, let's get it over and done with.
It'll be even more surprise if we don't have it set up at all.
We go back to Ruki, and she's in the forest with some friends, and she's thinking about how she's hungry. In the dub, she's bored, and she's wondering if the Diginomes know where some water is. And then the friends drag her away, and she smiles.
All the friends.
I love them. I called them friends because I wasn't sure when we'd find out what they're called, so I guess I could just call them Diginomes now. But yeah, all my Japanese notes called them the friends. Because I didn't want to say Diginomes, but I didn't realise until I watched the dub that this is actually the episode where they call them Diginomes for the first time.
I specified that they are Kulamon friends or Kulamon friend sprites.
I just say that they're friends because they're shaped like friends.
They are, but everything's shaped like a friend to you.
Yes, especially doggos. The friends take her to a beautiful river with cherry blossoms, and she drinks the water, and she says it's delicious. In the dub, she just says it's amazing, which is sort of the same thing, but I just remembered it for some reason.
Fair enough.
Then a wave comes from out of nowhere and she falls in the
So
water.
here's the thing about this part,
Yeah?
is that when the friends, I guess, led her to it, like, she went out, and then she's like, huh? What's that? And they went, hee, and all flew away. And I got the sense they were trying to murder her.
Well, I know that they were definitely trying to lead her there, but not to murder her, so she could be reunited with Calamon.
Like, the timing of it all, and everything just, it seemed a little bit violent.
I think it's just because they're friends with Calamon and they know that they want to get them back together.
They wouldn't know the wave would take her there. It's in the,
I think
it's
they're
in
magic.
The script. It's in the script.
I also think
whatever.
they're magic.
But yeah, she finds Calamon. It's awesome.
Yeah, and Calamon rescues her and she thinks it's Renamon, but she's so happy to see Calamon, she smiles again.
Yeah.
So Ruki smiles
Smile count 3.
She smiles a lot in this episode, and I love it.
She doesn't have to hang out with dorks.
We then see Renamon's running away from the wave, and she grabs them, but the water launches them into the air. Renamon then evolves to Cubimon and catches them. Cubimon then says that they're in the place where they were when they first entered the digital world. This is not mentioned in the dub, but I found that it was an interesting bit of information that, where we started.
Awfully convenient, I would say.
It's also to say, we're probably closer to the flag now.
Fair.
Gilmon can smell that Calamon is on the way with Cubimon. In the dub, Takado mentions that Gilmon already mentioned that they could smell Calamon earlier when they reached the flag. Ruki then says that once she arrives that they can return to the real world now. They have Calamon. Takado then says that he doesn't know how to get to the real world, and Jen is trying to work out the comm device. In the dub, Henry guesses that it's only working when there's a storm. Henry is right, but in the original, Jen's doesn't mention why.
And at this point, Kazu's like, man, we should find that Ryo guy. He would know what to do.
Yeah.
Ruki's like, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
And then Renamon asks why she grumbles whenever they mention him.
It's not like I like him or anything, but back.
But she doesn't.
She doesn't.
She's just salty that that he's better than her. But he's also older than her, so.
He was like a 13-year-old fighting a 9-year-old in the card game tournament.
Beelzemon finds them and lands his bike, and then they ask who he is, and he just laughs.
Actually, they recognize the bike first.
Yep. Well, of course they recognize the bike. They saw the bike.
They saw him too.
Yeah. Jen can't receive his data and then wonders if he's a Deva. Then, for some reason, it's almost implied that Terriermon also knows that he's Itmon, instead of just Cubimon.
Well, Terriermon did hang out, was around Itmon a bit. But I think it's such a weird scene, right? It looks at the thing, we can't get his data, it's not coming through. Are you a Deva? Cubimon goes, I know you, you're Itmon. And he goes, no, I'm not, I'm Beelzemon. Oh yeah, he's totally Beelzemon, I get that. Oh, he evolves from Itmon, oh yeah, sure. Why does his thing not come through?
Because it's plot. And also it's the same thing as, I think it might be because the more powerful Digimon, the longer it takes for the information to come on the Digivice.
That can't be correct, because in 3 seconds the dog will come past and they go, oh, it's that guy. No delay.
Okay, but that's because plot. Oof.
No delay.
Every other Deva has been, so I'm pretty sure this is just plot. Also, maybe the writers forgot that we already met Katsuramon. Because we already met him, but the characters didn't.
I think this show might just be bad.
No!
Is that an option we can explore?
No.
Maybe.
In the dub, Cubimon somehow knows that Itmon must have promised the Deva something because he asks them, what did you promise them? Jen now gets the data, and Beelzemon aims his gun at Cubimon, which is cut in the English version.
How do you deal with a character whose entire thing is guns, who's going to show up multiple times and take out his guns?
I think it's just pointing them at main characters, maybe.
But he's a bad guy right now. It's what he does.
Beelzemon then says that he's here to kill them. In the dub, he says it's his life or their life. We then see that the government guys are ready to launch Shagai, and then back in the digital world, Gilmon says that Itmon got scary. Ruki says she doesn't care if he's Itmon, and then Cubimon evolves to Taomon. Shagai is launched, Janyu and Shuchan are watching, and she has a little Terriermon plushie, and it's really cute.
One she made?
Yeah.
Because it looks pink and there's a little horn stuck to it.
It's so cute.
Do you remember what that was said at this point in the English?
Oh yes, what's happening? Something bad? Or
No.
bad?
Daddy, what's that? Look at the cloud and he goes, a bad idea. And in the background you hear, yeah!
Taomon creates a barrier to save the children, and Beelzemon leaves.
Because that's a power she's always had.
Yeah, no, she's a defensive, magical one. She's like a...
No, she's not. She eats you with paintbrush.
Also that. The government guys say that they can't stop Shagai. Then Yamaki shows up and tells them how to get out of the way.
Okay, no.
Yep.
He shows up and he's like, okay, the professional's here. Now all you amateurs leave. I'm gonna do it. And it's like the weirdest thing ever because I don't know if he remembers, but literally every time he did work with this thing, it exploded and did exactly this.
Yep.
They are having the equal level of success that he has ever had.
Yep.
And he's calling them amateurs as a result.
Yep.
He's such an asshole.
Katsurumon then appears and Ruki gets the data straight away because who cares about continuity, right? Hey, I did make a note of this in my
Exactly.
notes.
She's like, oh yeah, that's a David, look at that. Alright, cool.
And I'd like to read my notes word for word here because I don't know, sometimes I just write things weird.
That
So
one's funny.
I write, dog makes woof and then everybody fly away.
Dog makes woof.
Is that not what happens? I think I was tired when I watched this episode.
Yeah, I guess.
Then Jen, Terriermon, and Takato are taken away by 2 data streams, and Calamon's blown away.
Well, Kalamon is blown away and then gets picked up
Yeah,
by the dog.
Katsurumon.
By Dogmons.
But by Dogimon.
Dogimon. Woo!
Then Gilmon is so sad that Takato is gone. It breaks my little heart.
So, like, it's really minor, but I feel like in the Japanese, he's like, Takato? Like, he doesn't actually know what happened.
Yeah.
And then in the English, he goes, where did Takato go? Like, he knows he's disappeared, but
Yeah.
he doesn't know where to.
But the face he makes is heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's sad.
Because his ears drop down, because he's such a dog.
He's a
I
big
love
dog.
him. What a good dog. Maybe he should make Woof.
Dog. Make wolf.
What do you think of this episode as someone who is new to Digimon?
I don't know. Like, it was fine. I'm trying to remember really, like... I think the problem is how much it focused on Beelzemon and how much I don't care about him. I care about Impmon to an extent. I don't care
Yeah.
about this guy. He's boring. Ruki's a little adventure was cute, and then that was kind of it. It was a lot of wandering around until right at the end.
Yep.
At which point, like, all the Shagai stuff was really annoying because obviously it's just retreading government agencies not knowing how to deal with this thing at all.
Yeah.
And then the Davis show up, and just as the kids are about to win, they stop them from winning. But in the weirdest way, just like, oh, well, let's just stop you. Stole your thing.
What would you rate this episode?
I don't know, I feel like this is a 6.5.
I gave it a 6 because I enjoyed watching this episode.
Yeah.
It had cute moments, but nothing really happened particularly.
Yeah.
They got separated, which, I don't know, it just really annoys me. And, yeah, I liked this episode, didn't want to have to watch it twice. Did anyway, because I
Definitely.
have to. And I feel like sometimes these episodes are fine when you watch them once, but I rate them after watching it once anyway, and I enjoyed it. It was a fine episode. It was cute. It had lots of cute moments. It had Ruki smile like 3 times, and I really liked that. It's showing that she's warming to people, considering when she first met Calamon and she just wanted to get rid of him, and now she's happy to see him. It's really sweet.
I'm really sad about how many Digimon there are now. I know that sounds weird, but when there were like 3 Digimon that were in the show at all, they all felt like really important, and Terriermon got a lot of time, and like when he did his evolution thing to a gun bunny, it was like, oh, this is really serious, and when Renamon was around, like, oh, that was really strong. And now it's really diluted everything, and I think that a lot of the stuff I thought about it, and I think that a lot of stuff I liked about Tamers at the beginning, the change of focus, and how much stuff that framed it in a really interesting way. A lot of the stuff's really gone, and we're really ending up back in our adventure, like, oh, we're walking around the digital world, this is what we do now.
Yeah, so you've always really liked the real world parts of Digimon.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because I like the contrast.
Yeah. What about how you thought about this episode compared to what you predicted in Obnoxious Synopsis?
I thought there'd be like an electric Digimon, and I really got it wrong. And then I thought they would get a garbled message. So here's the thing. So urgent message from the digital world is from Takato to Yamaki to say that they're okay. The imperfect storm is a reference to the Shagai creating storms in the digital world. I could never have guessed that. The one thing that's still getting me is Kulamon is...
Found. And also then lost again.
But is nothing. That's also not part of the message, which would imply because this is part of the same title. Like, Kulamon is nothing. That's it. Like, it's not clear.
Maybe it's just Kulamon is.
It's just Kulamon is. It just is.
Yeah.
It exists. Right. I also thought the message would be cut short, whatever it is, but I wasn't annoyed by the message at all. I did think it was an okay episode. Maybe saying not that it... I think I might have underdone it there. Best would be 6.5. That's really accurate.
Yeah.
And is it filler? No. Because of the... no, they find Kulamon and then... So the new status quo is established. Also, I don't know why, but when I was watching it, I thought that Jen and Takato ended up in different beams.
They did.
Oh!
Yep.
Well?
Yes. Yep.
Well,
Yep.
I think the writers might have gotten confused.
Yep.
Like, they look at it afterwards and they go, wait a minute. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, no.
But they wanted them to be together, even though they weren't. Yeah, they definitely got into different beams, though.
Well, I'm glad that I wasn't stupid about that one.
What was the major difference that you noticed between both versions?
I guess the primary difference that I noticed anyway was just like the biggest one was that Terriermon's like not pretending to be Coolamon bit. It's such a different moment, and instead of everyone like looking at him like, did he just make fun of? Did he just pretend to be Coolamon? It's now like, why is he such a psycho?
Why do you make a bad pun?
Now that you said it was a pun, it's less interesting because obviously it's very similar. Like, oh, he made a bad joke.
Yeah.
In my version, when he said flogging out of nowhere, it was they all looked at him like he's a huge psycho. Like, wow, I can't believe this guy's here.
Which one do you think was funnier?
Oh, the Coolamon one's way funnier
Yeah, I
because
found it
like
funny.
Terriermon's so not that personality at all, and to see him making fun of like the really cutesy thing, which is what he looks like,
Yeah.
which is in fact what he is in the movie.
Well, what I noticed as my major one was when Renamon and Ruki are both sleeping against the tree, and Renamon wakes up and notices the flying friends, the Diginomes, and then looks at Ruki to see if she's awake, and then goes back to sleep. And there's just dialogue in that about how like she's so annoyed with the Diginomes, and then is upset that she's sounding like Ruki. And I found that as a weird difference because it came across as a really sweet scene in the original, and I feel like the English version kind of cut that out a bit.
Made it bitter.
Yeah, it was very bitter. She was she was disturbed that she sounds like Rika, even though in the original she was just making sure that Ruki was sleeping and okay, I guess. And that was just my interpretation of it anyway.
Also, the writers are bitter.
The second episode that we watched this week was episode 31, which was Kazu's Upgrade, or Friendship with Guardromon, Tame a Hero Kazu. I also want to fight? I don't know why I made it sound like that.
It should sound like, I also want to fight.
No, he's fine.
No, he's whiny.
And, I don't know, I just really don't like the group separation plot. I just made a lot of notes on that.
Wow, you are whiny.
I don't like that. The episode starts off with Calamon in a cage up Spiral Mountain.
It actually looks
basically.
like a sea mine.
It reminds me of Spiral Mountain.
No, I mean, like, the cage he's in is like a sea mine floating through the air, though, and it's really random.
I kind of like it.
But no one's looking out for it after him. And also, he can fuse through doors, so he should be fine.
I think it's a heavier duty cage now because he fused through the first one.
That makes no... Okay, the difference between the other one and this one is slight thickness of the door.
Yeah, he can't fuse through as well, I guess.
That's really dumb. Why didn't it explain how he got out the first time? Couldn't it at least have just shown the sprites unlocking the door?
It was just magic.
But
Did you notice the magic?
It should have just shown them unlocking the door, then I wouldn't have had to question it now. He can just move through solid objects for fun.
No, that was the Diginome's magic.
Yeah, but it's not clear that's the case.
Also, it was him in the script. It was clear to me, sort of.
It's because you've watched it before.
And I also...
and you want to believe.
I want to believe in the friends.
And retrieve.
In the dub, of course, Calamon can't be silent.
Oh, and I thought Impmon was my friend. But I guess he doesn't know the meaning of the word. He probably doesn't even know the meaning of meaning, except for the mean part.
That's pretty clever, though. That's a good burn. That's a good burn.
Back to where the kids are, Juri asks Ruki if she thinks Calamon will be okay, and Ruki tells her to stop using Chan at the end of her name because they're not in kindergarten, and how they're in primary school and almost in high school.
We're so old. We're in primary school.
We're 10.
My God, it's quite funny though.
Yeah.
Like she's kind of mean about it.
And Juri says she's sorry, and then Ruki continues, and Renamon tells her to calm down because Juri already apologized. And then Ruki says, "I forgive you, Juri-chan," and it's kind of cute, and I can't really tell if she's actually being mean or sometimes this like. Her being so tough and rough is a defense mechanism, and she just hates everything cutesy because it's just what she's used to. But she also really likes Juri. So I can't really tell, is she being mean in this part, or is she just sort of being playful?
I got the sense that she paused and thought it through, and then was genuine.
Yeah, that's what I thought, that she's being genuine at the end because she's realised, no, I am being unreasonable. And I think she likes Juri. Then Juri goes, humph, but then she smiles. In the dub, Rika is mean out of almost nowhere because I can't just say it's the use of honorifics.
Yeah, instead she's like, why don't you just grow up already?
Yeah, and she tells her to stop acting like a baby because she's a tamer now and she should get tougher. And it's not just a game. Renamon then says that Juri said to try harder. And then Rika says that Renamon's right. So I don't know, it's just...
It's not nearly as good.
It doesn't mean as much in the original. I mean, in the dub than in the original. We then see that Gilmon's sad and wonders where Takato is. Then Kenta says that he can be his tamer, and Gilmon says he already has a tamer. Then Kenta chases after Gilmon.
Is it just me, or did this moment make you legitimately angry?
Why?
I hated Kenta so much.
Oh, I thought it was...
Takato has disappeared, and Gilmon is
Oh,
sad.
yeah.
And Kenta goes... And Kenta, who is obsessed about having his own Digimon this entire time,
Says
goes up
he
to him and goes, hey,
Yeah.
how about you become mine?
Yeah, he basically says, I will replace your friend who created you.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah.
And then...
This is like when someone who marries,
Yeah.
in whatever family, someone's dad dies and the new dad comes, the new guy comes and goes, I'm your new dad now.
Yeah. This is it, but in Digimons.
Oh, it's gross.
Then everybody clips to the world because this game was not clearly beta tested enough.
This is really funny, especially because they're walking through the desert and they fall through, whatever.
Yeah.
But some of them were already standing on that, so
Yeah.
it's not like it was always see-through. It's just all disappeared at once.
Yeah.
Which, all that tells me is that somebody in the writing crew said we need them to get over here, but we don't know how to get them there. Why not just make them fall through the world? Who cares?
Why not, right?
It's the laziest plot device.
Jen, Takato, and Terriermon are also falling, and Terriermon says, Momentai. In the dub, I really like what they did in the dub. They added on...
Well, I kind of like that everyone's like really worried, except Terriermon doesn't care. Terriermon's like, yeah, no, like this is a philosophy, and I really believe it.
He's sticking to it.
My favorite part of this, though, is that when they all land, the people who have Digimon around get caught by their Digimon. So Leomon catches Juri, and Renamon catches Juri, and everyone else falls on their ass.
Yeah.
It's like, damn it, we really should have had Digimon around. Oh, man.
Then they hear someone call out Orochimon, and it turns out to be an Andromon. In the dub, his voice is really excited in the English version. I don't know why.
He's throwing boulders into the lake for fun.
Ruki is calling for Renamon, Juri calls for Leomon, and Kenta calls for Gilmon. And then he says that he can't make him stronger or evolve. And then Gilmon says that he'll still protect them. And I really like this. I don't know. I find it cute.
He's a good dog.
He's such a good dog. In the dub, when Andromon introduces himself...
And who are you? A humble servant in the fight for good. Andromon the Just.
Just what?
The Andromon, the just out of adventure.
They're just okay. They're just the camera.
He's not in that photo.
That's because it's his head.
So silly.
It's not like he didn't do the bender where
He takes off his head.
No,
Awesome.
and he says, "Wait, I want to get the picture too," and runs up. Orochimon shows up, and he's quite scary looking.
He's a Mecha King Ghidorah.
Basically. And he looks at Juri, and then his head goes towards her, and Leomon jumps in the way and to protect her, and then Orochimon goes back into the water. Then Kenta says that Orochimon looks like a strong Digimon. In the dub, Kenta is wondering why Orochimon was staring at Juri. Kazu then sees Andromon hurting and wants to help. And this is pretty... It seems out of character, especially in the English version, for Kazu wanting to help anybody, right?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, in the original, it's not so much because he seems like an okay person. But in the dub, this is kind of out of nowhere that he's being selfless during this episode.
I think it's that the writers looked at it and said, well, we can't make anything else there. It's too obvious what he's saying.
Yeah. Then we see a brief bit of Takato's group joining hands and ears, and then they try to get out of whatever they're in.
Because Jen, ninja swings them out.
Yeah.
And this is why we just remember, they did not end up in the same beam, yet they are.
Yeah.
Because reasons.
Basically.
This episode is really about getting the kids where the writers want them to be.
Yeah. Ruki's group then finds a house, and they want to try to get help for Andromon. In the dub, Juri knows this is a village, and Rika says, well, nothing gets past you, does it?
Oh my gosh, she's so mean.
And I don't know why, I really like Juri and Ruki's relationship as... Ruki likes Juri and Juri likes Ruki, and they have this nice friendship. And then in the dub, Rika's pretty sassy to everybody, and I'm pretty sure the main sass master is Terriermon in the show.
Oh my god, he's the sassiest. I love him so much. Can we just have him be the goggle kid?
Goggle Kid Terriermon.
I want him to have goggles and then be like, oh, I don't want to be the leader. Can I not be? And everyone's like, but you're the best at this.
But everybody's boring.
Don't be
boring.
boring when I lead you.
I love him so much. The children see Gekomon farming data packets, and they all smell something, and Juri recognizes it and says it's sake, and then everyone says, how do you know that? She explains that her family own a restaurant. In the dub, it's milkshakes, and she recognizes the smell because the restaurant's specialty is milkshakes, apparently.
So, like, there's such a big difference, and this frames the entire episode between she occasionally waitresses at a bar, or she sometimes serves milkshakes. Like, the difference between dealing with drunk customers and handing someone a milkshake. Those are very different ways to view this character, especially kind of knowing the background of that her dad may or may not be a pimp.
Yeah.
And things are weird in Juri land.
Yeah.
We know that.
Also in the dub, Ruki recognizes the smell too because they have to make it clearer that it's just milkshakes, and everyone knows what a milkshake is, right?
That sure is milkshakes. Yeah, definitely.
I'm craving a milkshake.
Especially because there's no milk in this world.
It's white though, so it must be milk, right? Nothing else can be white.
I actually wrote down in my thing when I said sake, I'm like, well, you can't have a whole episode about sake. What are they going to do? Then they said milkshake. I'm like, I totally see that. But at the same time, I would never have thought about it. If someone said, make this PG, I wouldn't have gone, oh, it's white. I guess it's milk.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it can't just be milk, obviously, to make something. Oh, it's a milkshake.
To be fair, like, you got to give credit to the dub writers.
No, you don't.
Like, what else could they do with this episode? Milkshake's
Call it
fine.
sake.
Oh, but that's not... Like, they want it to be PG.
But the fact that it's not alcohol makes a plot point later on make no sense.
Yeah, also a few parts make sense.
Actively ruins the episode. The episode is indelibly about alcohol.
Yeah, also, let's pour milk on someone's wounds.
I don't remember. I know they did the pouring the wounds. I noticed it with the sake. I didn't even think about it with the milk. It's so dumb.
But my favorite part is in the dub because this is pretty dumb. Rika even says, "This is weird," and Kenta says, "Milkshakes always make me feel better."
I remember that line. Oh, he's so stupid.
Anyway, Leomon suggests that they heal Andromon's wounds, and Gekomon refuses. Gilmon picks up the Gekomon speech quirk, and Kenta says that he doesn't have to pick up the quirk. Gilmon says it's fun. In the dub...
No, he says, it's fun, Gecko!
It's fun, Gecko! In the dub, Kenta says that Gilmon is being childish, and Gilmon comments about how everything that he does and that everything that happens is childish according to Kenta and Takato. Which I didn't really get that line, but I guess I like the use of the quirks and how characters sometimes adopt other characters' quirks.
Yeah.
Gekomon then says that the world used to be peaceful and they would sing. In the original, it's singing. In the dub, it's just weird, gross croaking.
It's because you have to remember that, like, obviously singing was an important part of the backstory of the Gekomon.
Yeah.
And there's no Shogun Gekomon or whatever it's called.
Yeah. Well, like
background.
or a Tamamon.
I don't remember which one that.
That's the tadpole.
The babies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were just sitting in a forest. They didn't have a castle or anything.
Yeah, and so they were just singing, and this was their backstory. And then one day, Orochimon showed up and said that the Digimon no longer need to evolve as long as they have sake. And then he says, you have to now, he now orders them to make him sake.
Let's be honest, that line, Digimon don't need to evolve if they have sake, is the weirdest line in the show.
I find it sweet. I don't care. I like it.
It's like the weirdest line in the show.
I know, I found it charming for some reason.
I think it's weird because it's so, like, we've been in the real world, but it's like the most real world interaction with Digimon that there ever has been. Like, even when the Digimon are eating bread, you're like, well, it's bread, whatever, you can find eggs and whatever. No, you don't need to digivolve if you have sake. That's the same kind of thing as, like...
I think it's because he found something that makes him super happy, and it's not having the true power and evolving. And he's already probably evolved a bit because he's at a perfect level. I believe he's perfect.
I feel like it's like them saying only ultimate levels can drive manual. Like it's just really, really narrow.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so strange.
In the dub, it's not really said about the bit about evolving, but he orders them to make milkshakes
It would
instead.
be really funny if he's like, you don't need to evolve if you have milkshakes.
I thought that'd be cute, but they, for some reason, didn't have that. Gekomon says that they love peace so much that they had to make sake for Orochimon so they could make peace. In the dub, this isn't really said, But they sort of just say, oh yeah, we just did it so you wouldn't attack us. But it's not so much to keep the peace that they want.
I like that they're actually really angry at Andromon, which is what they're sort of framing this as, because he's a troublemaker. It's like, he's trying to fight, and they have this flashback to, like, him trying to fight the first time.
Yeah.
And, like, I think the factory is destroyed.
Basically, and Gekomon have to build it again.
It's fair. It's like, you know what? Their perspective in this episode is actually kind of fair enough.
Yeah, it's reasonable. They like peace, and they also kind of want Orochimon to be stopped because it's not really what they want. But every time someone does try to stop, everything gets destroyed and they have to clean up and
So they're
back
happy
it
of
up.
making sake.
Yep, and they're happier doing something that they don't particularly want to do rather than, have everything destroyed, because that's even less peace. So I understand them. Then Kazu explains that Andromon is just trying to protect the peace. Leomon then says with the data packets and sake, Andromon's wounds could be healed. Sake is to clean and disinfect, and the data packets for Digimon are a remedy to avoid infection.
I always think that's really weird. Like, what's going to infect them? Small little microbial Digimon?
Yeah.
Or alternatively, how can you infect a virus type?
Is Andromon a virus?
I don't know, just in general. Because
I
they told you
thought it was a data.
he's using this as, like, obviously medical knowledge,
Yeah.
but how do you get infected in the digital world?
Oh.
I know, but I'm asking. Like, you're the expert. You've seen everything. There are X-antibodies. Are there things that those fight?
Didn't Diaboromon happen because of a virus? In the dub it
Only
happened.
in English. Oh, that's the dumbest thing ever. He's a digi-egg that got a virus.
Or try.
Oh, no, but with the infection and try, we don't know what that is yet.
Yeah.
But they it's a computer virus. On the internet! Who would have guessed? Digimon is so dumb.
In the dub, Leomon says the data packets in the milkshake are what's helping. It's not so much the pouring of the milk, it's because there's data packets in the milk, even though what we see doesn't have the data packets in it anymore. Ruki mentioned...
Milkshakes always make
Yeah.
me feel better.
Yeah, and this is the part where Ruki mentions it's weird, and Kenta says that milkshakes always make him feel better. Leomon then explains that data packets repair Digimon. Andromon then de-evolved to Gardromon, so I guess they didn't do a very good job of healing him.
No, they didn't. Also, I just remembered now, in the dub, did we talk about how Andromon is British?
Is he? I just thought he was chipper.
He's fully British.
Oh, I didn't get that part.
When he turns
no.
into Gardromon, he specifically becomes a C-3PO. Like, he's full on, like, oh, what a nice day it is.
Okay, yeah. Like, he's chipper and excited, but I don't think
No,
it's
he's British.
I don't think it's an English accent.
No. It's like put on to be C-3PO. I don't know if the actor is British, but they're definitely doing a British accent.
Yeah.
I think that might be your confusion.
They're trying to do C-3PO, yeah. It's just not a very good British accent if it is.
Oh, Gekomon, we're trying to defeat this Orochimon. Would you mind following our plans?
Orochimon shows up and then grabs Juri. And then in the dub I have it noted that Kenta mentions how Gilmon can't evolve and Gardromon is out cold. And this is just weird. Like, he says, oh, but there's nothing we can do because Gilmon can't evolve, Gardromon's out cold. And I'm just like, but there's Leomon and Renamon can evolve to adult. So I'm not sure why he's suddenly upset by this.
Renamon became Taumon in the last episode.
Yeah, and also Leomon's still there. I just find like this is a weird line that they put in. I just don't understand it, considering it doesn't make sense, because there are other Digimon that can fight besides Gilmon and Gardromon.
And yet, no one really does evolve to fight Orochimon until way later.
Because it's Juri's episode, so Leomon fights.
In fact, there are no evolutions in this episode, are there?
No, not that I remember.
Yeah, I understand that it's Juri's fight, but it's only Juri's fight because no one evolves.
Yeah, basically. When Orochimon's grabbing and pulling away Juri calls out to Leomon that she'll be okay because she's used to dealing with drunken men because of the family restaurant.
That is a very interesting thing about this character, about adversity in their past and stuff that they've learned. I don't think there's so many times that she's like, I've just been around all these kids that get hyped up on milkshakes, it's fine.
Yeah. And Leomon says he's not worried about that. In the dub, Jerry is upset at Orochimon for attacking Leomon, and Leomon says it's his fault, and he'll save Juri, even if it costs him every ounce of his data.
Oh, that's sweet.
It is sweet, but I'm just like... I feel like her... I don't know, she's dealt with a lot, clearly, because she's working and she's 10, and she shouldn't have to deal with drunk men. I don't know.
You want to protect her. So Orochimon says to Juri, who is captured, that he wants her to serve him sake, and asks if it bothers her at all. And she says, no, I do this all the time. I work at a restaurant, I serve sake, that's totally normal. But...
in the dub, Jerry mentions how she always gets the best tips, and Orochimon says that she will live. And then Jerry says, this is my best tip ever. then the heads start fighting, and then she tells them to wait their turn.
She, like, snaps at them, too.
Yes.
She's like, you will wait your turn.
And this is clearly because she's so used to dealing with these people, and we see, like, this experience come through that should not come through for a 10-year-old.
That was my favourite bit of the episode, by the way. By, like,
mine
a long
too.
way.
Yeah.
Because this is the bit where I realised, okay, I complained about Juri a few other times recently, especially since they've come to the digital world, where I said they're deconstructing the character. It's worse and worse all the time. In this one, she had integrity, she had a history, she had a personality. There was a lot of stuff going on, and I think they did a really good job building her up here.
Then Juri thinks to herself about how she wants to get him drunk so he can pass out and so she can escape. In the dub, she wants to make them go to sleep with warm milkshakes.
Okay, they wouldn't be necessarily super warm, but also just...
I guess it's because warm milk makes you sleepy, apparently.
Yeah, but it doesn't, though. It might ease you into sleep if you're already sleepy. But the idea behind this episode was to give kids the impression that milk was a sedative.
Yeah, basically. And something I noticed is that Orochimon is a lot angrier and less thankful and is quite threatening to Juri in the dub. And in the original, he's quite polite. Like, they have quite a discussion, like, Juri says about how a certain root is like a good cure for hangovers.
It was beetroot, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's daikon, I think, that she says. I didn't write it down.
And I like that because she would know.
Yeah.
She's talked to tons of dudes. She's doing, like, a waitressy, having a conversation at the table with them sort of thing.
And then he replies with, "Oh, is that so?" I think from memory he goes, "Oh, Soka." And it's just... It's kind of sweet, and Orochimon isn't as threatening and isn't as angry. He's getting what he wants. He has no reason to threaten her. He's getting sake. He's happy. On
one hand, I understand where in English you go, okay, you've got a monster. This is how they would act. He's been aggressive all the time, even to the Gekomon who are doing what he says. But also, I really like the idea that she can calm this monster down because that's the kind of monster she deals with all the time.
Yeah. Back to the group, Leomon is upset because Orochimon isn't a regular drunk, and he's angry that he wasn't able to protect her. Kazu is worried about Juri, and then Gardramon says he blames himself, and that he knows a way to rescue Juri. Kazu then tells the others who are trying to think up rescue plans. We then see that the Gekomon are getting sake ready to give Orochimon. In the dub, Gekomon accuses another Gekomon, who for some reason he calls Johnson, for stealing milkshakes. I guess, why
Johnson
not, right?
is my favourite, like, completely generic Western name.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who's in the group. You're like, Johnson, you. It's always there. It's Johnson and Smith. Those are the classics. So C-3PO definitely said he had a plan, right?
Yep.
Because is it just me, or is their plan walking up to the Gekomon and saying, please, can you help us?
I think it's his plan for the Trojan horse thing. But I think that they needed the Gekomon's help to do the Trojan horse thing.
I think it was such a distance between him saying he had a plan and getting there that it really appeared that when they all just said, please help us, like that was the plan.
Gardramon stops the Gekomon and tells them that one of the human has been taken, and they all say please, which is kind of a sweet moment. And the Gekomon finally gives in, but they said, look, I don't want to help the fight because we love peace too much. Gardramon then says that Gekomon's peace involves, like, singing happily and not making sake. The Gekomon then decide to help them, so they push in the Trojan sake.
There's a weird bit in the English. I swear what they say is that, like, just do what you normally do and pour all the milkshakes out. I swear they said something like
Really? Oh, I missed that.
It's just something really weird, because then obviously in the Japanese they go, oh yeah, pour the sake out and we'll go from there. But there was a really weird line in the English. I can't remember what he said exactly, because...
I can't remember.
Perfect. So they go up to... You see the island, and you see Orochimon, and all of its robot heads are asleep.
Yeah, except for one, and this is the one that
the main head that isn't a robot.
Yeah, and this is when she tells him about the radish that's good for hangovers.
It makes no sense whatsoever that the robot heads are asleep. First of all, they're robots. And I mean in English. First of all, they're robots. Second of all, it's milkshakes. Why are they all asleep?
Well, it's because it's sake in the original.
I know that, but...
Nihonshu.
I just don't... Really, it's got Japan in the name.
Nihonshu. Which, straight, like, the direct... sake is also a word, but it's also said Nihonshu, and shu means alcohol, so it's Nihonshu.
Oh, God,
Japan.
I really wish it was just like... I wish
it's
when
Japan
it
wine or
was
Japan alcohol.
translated, it would be Japan sauce. You want some Japan sauce?
It's like when we were at the restaurant and I said, what's that kanji? And she said, it's shoot. And that's why I remember what it is.
Aw, you did it.
Because I learned some kanji. But it was umeshu.
Japan in kanji should just be a drawing of Japan. A little miniature drawing of Japan.
Gekomon then show up and tell Orochimon that they have more sake for him. Leomon then jumps out of the crate and punches Orochimon, and I really like how dramatic this moment is. It makes me happy. I don't know why.
What it actually looks like exactly is that magic card where the guy punches a bear. And
yes,
I was really hoping,
Yep.
because there's the reference card to that, which is like in the alternate timeline where he punches a dragon in the face. I was hoping it would look exactly like it, but it's a different perspective.
Yeah.
If you could put the dragon face on that bear, it'd be perfect.
Juri is happy to see the others and tells them that she got the Orochimon drunk. Gekomon then explains that won't work because he's stronger when he's drunk with sake.
It's so stupid. She's like, I got him drink 12 whole things of sake, and they're like, oh, this is the worst idea anyone has ever had in history.
But to be fair, like, you can see where she's coming from. It was a fine idea.
yeah.
She wasn't to know.
Made perfect sense.
In the dub, I like their reasoning of why it makes him strong in the dub. It's that the data packets and the milkshake made him strong. It's a reference to earlier when they were healing Andromon and using the data packets to strengthen him up.
That seems fair.
So this is the dub writers did fine here. And
One of the few times that their changes were like legitimately helpful to the story.
it also makes Juri sound kind of dumb because she should have remembered it. So it's more Juri's fault in the dub.
Okay, it was always really dumb.
Yep.
Honestly, it would have been equally dumb, and it would have been equally helpful if they were like, but milk has calcium, and that made his bones stronger. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
milkshakes. It was never gonna work.
Juri is sad that she did something stupid. In the dub, Jerry is worried about the Digimon that will get hurt because of her. Then Leomon tells her not to worry. In the dub, Leomon says if they get hurt, it'll be Orochimon's fault because, of course, that makes sense. The one punching you will be the one that punches you. Gilmon destroys a head with one fireball and Leomon destroys another, but then we find out that these heads were fake.
So, do you think all the robot heads are fake? Or some of the robot heads are fake?
I feel like it's some of them, not all of them.
Because what does their being fake mean?
They can regrow.
But that doesn't mean they're fake. I think it's I don't know. I don't know what he means by that. Is he a Hydra?
Yeah.
But then he didn't robrack more of them.
I'm pretty sure he is a Hydra. Juri blames herself and Kazu says that she's a tamer and she can't just give up. In the dub, Kazu references what Rika said at the start of the episode about being tough.
Wait, is this how he owns his Digivice, by giving her a little speech?
Yep, probably.
Oh my god.
And also smiling at Gardramon, apparently.
Oh my god.
Juri then uses the Lady Devimon card, and then... You know
And
how...
everyone's like, oh!
No, but I want to talk about something. Whenever she does a card slash, you know how everyone gets, like, the custom movements where they go, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
And, like, Jen does his, like, Power Rangers
love
business. There's just an awkward freeze on Juri's face. And I've seen GIFs of this, and I just thought it was just... They'd paused it just to show that hers is shorter. No, there's just, like, a 5-second pause on her face.
I don't know it. Like, I can't picture it in my head.
Oh, I'll show it to you later.
Please
It's pretty
do.
awkward. It's pretty awkward.
I wish there was like a part of the animation where she's doing the arm thing, where she's like drops the card, like, oh no, and like has to reach it up,
Yeah.
pick it up, and slash it again.
Like, I believe in Takado's, there's like this moment when like he looks like he's sort of unsure of himself, and then he realizes he's sure of himself, and it's kind of sweet. And Ruki is just like pretty cool because she's Ruki, but like,
Isn't hers the one that's above her head?
yeah, Juri's is just like a screenshot of her face, I guess.
Boo!
Leomon then breathes at Orochimon and kills him, and I'm just gonna say how scary Leomon is during this scene.
Well, because he's mixed with Lady Devimon.
Yeah.
He doesn't even move. He just sucks the dude's soul out.
There's then a cute moment that Ruki congratulates Juri for, like, you know, winning a fight with cards. And Kenta then says that he also wants to be a tamer. In the dub...
Which he said forever.
Yeah. In the dub, Kenta says that that's what I call being a tough tamer. Gekomon are then happy that they can sing again. In the dub, they say that the children deserve a song. Kazu then looks at Gardramon and smiles, and then he gets a Digivice. In the dub, and I'm pretty sure this makes the dub writers so happy that Gardramon doesn't have a mouth, so they can just put in lines whenever. because they can just fill in, like, his mouth with insults about how bad the Gekomon singing is the whole time.
Like, every time the camera cuts away from a character, like, yeah, we can write whatever we want.
But this time,
here.
it's just like whenever, because there was no dialogue during this scene. Gardramon doesn't really say anything.
You know what I feel like the script looks like when they get passed it over from the translators?
What?
Because obviously, what the system probably is, a translator goes through the Japanese and goes, this is what it is, word for word, right?
Yeah.
And then he hands it over to somebody who, between every line, shows how many, like, spots of significant blank space there are.
Yeah.
And those are empty lines. And they go, okay, convert these lines and then add stuff in the empty space as well.
Yep.
And that has to be what had happened, because it's crazy.
Kenta now says that he's sad that he's alone and doesn't have he's like the only one without a partner now. In the dub, Kenta is worried that he'll only have boring Dramon as a Digimon. So instead of being worried that he'll never have a Digimon, he's worried that he'll have a bad Digimon. And I'm pretty sure having a bad Digimon is better than having, like, no Digimon at all, right?
Why did Kenta get a Digivice in this episode?
You mean Kazu?
Damn it, yeah. Why did Kazu get one?
Because otherwise he's useless. He's slightly less useless now.
But what did he do in this episode that was about him?
He seemed pretty selfless when he was looking after Gardramon.
I guess, but that's fairly minor.
Also, he seemed to care about a Digimon. Instead of just wanting him for his own desires, he seemed to be happy to be with him as a friend.
Wouldn't it be really weird if in 02 we had a whole episode about Yoli's family and how she felt really alone and she doesn't really get it, and she's trying to get her own identity even though she has like 6 brothers and sisters, or 6 sisters, whatever it is, and then she finally got a resolution at the end. She's like, yeah, and then Davis's Crest of friendship went.
Yeah, no.
Wouldn't that be really weird?
That'd be weird. No, I see what your point is. This is pretty much a Juri episode, and then there's a bit with Kazu. But I like Juri.
This is the episode where Leomon would have evolved or something. That would make way more sense, because she would have had a connection.
Yep.
Also, can we talk briefly about, because I don't really understand, everyone sort of had a very specific reaction to the Lady Devimon card. Also, they've used other Digimon cards before. We saw like an Ice Agumon or something once.
And I'm pretty sure Sneemon was used on Renamon.
People acted legitimately surprised by it, and I don't really know why.
It's quite a strong card. Maybe they're surprised that Juri has cards, or
they know she has cards. They looked through them and they wanted to trade.
This is the first time that we've ever seen her use a card and it worked. Besides, she tried to use one on Gilmon.
But this is the first time she's had her own Digivice. Of course it worked.
So it's like the first time she's ever used a card / for battle, and it works, and it's pretty cool, and it does the job.
Really surprised.
I think that's why. I think they're surprised that it worked.
I think that should have been one line where she goes to Ruki and he's like, "Thank you for teaching me."
Oh, that would have been so cute. At the end of the episode, after Kenta is sad that he's alone, Gilmon is wondering what Takato is doing. In the dub, Gilmon says, "Now everybody has a partner, but I want Takato." And I'm just like,
Kenta doesn't.
I have it here, but Kenta still doesn't.
It's okay, it doesn't count.
Then Takato, Jen, and Terriermon fall into water.
Poor dog.
What do you think of this episode as someone who is new to Digimon?
So, I think the core of it is pretty solid. Now, like, I think that the Gekomon are a bit silly, but, you know, as weird slave workers going around, they've always been pretty good at that. Sake is such a strange thing to be going on in the digital world, but it's much like Eggmon's like cafes and stuff. You're like, whatever, I'll accept that.
Yeah.
And so otherwise, I think that, you know, finding out more about Juri's character was great, and it's what I really wanted.
Yep.
But I don't know, it's so strange that it wasn't her big episode for progress. It was just her big episode for characterization. And also, of course, you know, it has to be mentioned, milkshakes, right?
Yeah.
Completely undercuts what the episode's about.
What do you rate this episode?
It's like an 8.
I gave it an 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I really liked... I remember not liking this episode, but for some... Like, I actually really liked this episode. I wasn't, like, super thrilled to watch it twice, but, like, it has to be, like...
Okay, actually...
It's rarely that I want to watch it twice.
Once they were, like, milkshakes, it's like, alright, well, okay, well, I need to know where this is going, and it got more and more absurd.
Yep. But I liked this episode. I like Juri as a character.
Yeah.
And I know you always wanted a bit of character development for this character.
She needed something.
And you were upset and you didn't like her as a character and you didn't know why she was there and you already cared so much about the characters and now they didn't.
Because, like, the one thing that she has going for her, really... Okay, what defined her as a character before? She had a weird puppet. What defines her now? She had a really weird and rough childhood and she's learned a lot of stuff.
And that's probably why she has the puppet.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting, and the show seems to at least in the Japanese, it touches on it, and I don't imagine it'll ever focus on it. But the English one is to completely sweep it. But it makes her very interesting and very unique because she takes it very well. There are a lot of characters who would become more like Ruki, I guess, angry, but she sort of went with it, and she's very unique as a result.
How did this episode compare to your predictions in Obnoxious Synopsis?
Look, I know that Kazu would get the Gardramon, and I fall asleep and never wake up. I don't remember why I wrote that.
I think you were tired.
Yeah. So, I said Kazu would get a Gardramon. That's all I really knew. And it's really weird that both titles are about that, and it's not about him. It's not about him at all. He gets it right at the end for no reason. So, I mean, I couldn't have rated that much. And I said that I didn't think it'd be a good episode, but it was. I said it would not be filler. And it wasn't. But I rated it a 5. No, it's an 8.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's a 9.
I think I might be wrong here, but I feel like this is one of the best episodes we've had in the digital world.
Oh, for sure. In the digital world, yes.
Yep.
I don't know if anything in this show will ever legitimately beat the feeling I had the first time, what's it called? The first time Terriermon ever evolved.
Yep.
Because the first time Terriermon evolved and everyone's afraid of the Digimon with a gun, I was just like, oh, this is really different. And we're really, being in the digital world again, I don't know why, I feel like I was excited for us to go there, but I realized that my issue wasn't that, oh, we're on the digital world, so it feels weird. It was just like there's so many Digimon flooding into the real world that it felt like the digital world anyway. So it's just a little bit different now. And I mentioned it earlier episode, when it was like 3 Digimon, 4, they were really serious, and you had these very interesting interactions.
Yep.
I don't know, this whole Deva thing, I feel like, is a hole they dug themselves into to make the show longer that they didn't need to do.
I feel like when I first watched this when I was a kid, and then when I rewatched it when I was slightly older, is that I never really liked the Deva part.
I'm really looking forward to it being over.
The whole series of just the Deva part.
What?
The whole series being over, or just the Deva part?
Oh, the Deva part. I thought you said the whole series is just the Deva part. I would have died.
No. I don't like spoiling much, but don't worry, there's more to the series than the Deva part.
Okay, good. And then it's never coming back ever again.
I believe, from memory, the series gets stronger, I think.
You said that the second half is apparently the better half. I haven't seen it yet.
We're about to get to where I think it starts to get pretty deep as an anime.
Ooh, deep.
Not. I think for a few weeks we're still in slightly fine, okay territory, but I think it gets better after that. I hope it gets better after that.
So the last 20 is what you're saying. Wait, we're in the last 20. So the
Hey!
last 10.
We're almost up to Frontier. I really want to hear what you think about Frontier.
Isn't Frontier the one where they punch the guy?
No, that's Savers or Data Squad.
Wait, is that the same thing?
No,
Or is both of them?
Savers and Data Squad. Savers is the original name. Data Squad is the English
So
version.
it is the same
The
thing.
Disney version, yes.
Okay.
It's made by Disney.
Oh, that's going to be fun to translate.
Yeah. But it's also done by Jeff Nimoy again. He got the rights back for Savers,
Let's
I
be
believe.
honest, he hasn't really done that good a job.
No, I love him. Go away.
Why? Because his name was on the thing you watched? That doesn't make it good.
What was the major difference besides the obvious Sake line?
No. You can't ignore it. You cannot ignore it. The major difference is that instead of sake, the crux of the episode, it was milkshakes.
Well, the other difference I noticed was Orochimon's behaviour to Juri was a lot meaner in the dub.
Because he didn't chill out because he wasn't drunk.
Because instead of having this nice sort of chat about, oh, this is a really good cure for hangovers. Oh, right. And he's quite calm. Instead of I will basically kill you if you don't help me right now.
I know, but if he was drunk because it was sake, it would be fine.
So you're just saying the only difference
No.
Okay.
It changes the entire episode from something that makes sense to something that doesn't. If Juri had been replaced with an otter that just walked around breaking clams on its belly,
Aww.
as cute as that would be, it would have been similarly weird. I know that seems like a stretch, but it's not.
What are your thoughts about Hirokazu as a tamer?
Well, I don't know why he's a tamer. He just whined until he got one. At the very least, with Juri, she's like, that one. I picked that one. He showed up out of a rainbow. So there's an element of destiny to it, and you can say, okay, fine. Maybe. His thing was, I saw a Digimon, and now it's mine. I don't get it. He doesn't... The answer really is, he doesn't deserve one. I know that's weird to say because everyone was assigned them randomly anyway. But all he did was follow them to the digital world and whine forever. That implies that anyone can do it, which means it's not special. I don't like that.
I like Hiroka. I feel like I'm liking him more now than I did when I first watched it. I feel like the dub makes him worse.
The dub makes him worse, but I actually think that I'm soured on him regardless. Because I'm watching the Japanese and I'm like, there's like 2 minutes left of this episode. When is? I know he's going to get the thing, and then it just shows up next to him. I'm like, come on! And I think the reason I don't like him, it's a very Australian perspective, is I do not like people getting things they do not deserve.
Yeah.
What he did not own this in any way. It's just because the script, because the plot.
Well, the episode where Juri got her Digivice was sort of the episode not really about her. It was like if I recall correctly, it was the LiT
Yeah, but that was a
episode.
two-parter, really.
Yeah. Well, it was actually, and it was like 3 episodes after she met Leomon.
Yeah, it was a while afterwards, but it was always like she had this feeling about that Digimon. Let's go. Whereas Kazu's like, no, that one, no, that one, no, that one, no, that, and then just randomly one of them. Oh yeah, it was.
But this is the first one he didn't straight up say, "You are my partner."
Oh great, because he deserves it because he didn't say it.
I know. It's something I noticed. Like it's like he didn't expect to have it, and that's why he got it. And also, he seemed to be selfless and care about this Digimon. Besides just, I want you to be my partner.
I think he'd have actually the most cool crest of all time. The crest of not quite greedy all the time.
Not
just
quite.
Most of the time.
The crest of not being a terrible person.
His crest is just a big dollar sign.
He's bling bling. I just want to talk about Orochimon for a second because he's the bad guy of this episode, right?
Kind of, yeah.
But I feel like he is. He's arguably a different kind of bad guy. He's not so much a bad guy. He's just.
I mean, he is enslaving this entire race.
I know, but it's a different type of bad guy, if you know what I mean. It's just, I don't know, I feel like it's interesting to have a bad guy who's not just about, I want to kill everyone, absorb their data, and evolve, and basically rule the digital world, and then go to the real world and also rule that world.
Yeah. I mean, that's different for Tamers, but, like, in small points of it, he's like the Digimon Emperor.
Yeah, but it's like, Saki makes him happy, he's powerful, and it's like, I just want Saki, I don't want to evolve anymore, I don't want to, become a god.
It is very interesting from a Tamer's perspective.
Yeah.
Because everyone in this digital world is really obsessed with the one thing. And it's really interesting seeing somebody who's interested in something else.
What if Kazu's partner was Orochimon?
That would be weird. It's too big. You couldn't do anything with it.
He's so bored. He'd just follow you around saying, "Yes, Kazu." He would have a lisp because he's a snake.
He wouldn't have a lisp. He has the long S's.
Oh, I can't do voices.
Kazu.
Kazu. I know, I'd like that. I also want to talk about why is forced separation as a plot point ruining Tamers?
It's not ruining it.
It's ruining it for me. I just really don't like this plot point, okay?
Okay, look, the data beams are what's ruining it. You can separate people for legitimate reasons, not just, we whipped a teleport beam at them, lol.
Yeah, I just feel like it's like, every 3 episodes, they're gonna scramble up the team again. Whoa!
It's just roving teleport beams. That's what's happening. It's a video... I mean, obviously, it's a digital world, but it's such a weird video gamey plot line. Oh, we just whip it, it's fine. We just have these random teleporters around to put people in interesting situations because we're writing a TV show. Oh, it's 50 episodes of a series that does not have 50 episodes of plot is death. That's why Netflix series have 8 episodes in them.
For Screenshot of the Week, there was just so many, and it's mostly just Terriermon.
Yeah.
But I chose the sleepy Terriermon being picked up by his ears because it's so cute.
It's really cute. Although the one where he's like bunching them up to look like Kulamon's really cute. My one was just the moment we saw Orochimon in a very specific angle.
Yep.
I grabbed that and I put it next to a Mecha King Ghidorah because they look exactly the same.
It's basically a spot the difference.
And the difference is that one of them has 2 metal heads on the side, 1 alive head in the center, and Mecha King Ghidorah has a metal head in the center and 2 alive heads on the side. That's the difference.
Which kind of leads on to our next discussion, which is the Digimon introduced in this episode.
Yeah.
Orochimon, what do you think?
Orochimon's really cool, actually. Orochimon is it's one of those, really Digimon designs, because it's got a lot of metal on it, and it's a bit overcomplicated, but it's not too much, and it's sort of, it's the really classic, could be a Pokemon if it didn't have all the metal on it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the kind of design I like for the show to have. When you look at, Beelzemon, you're like, that's too much. This is overdoing it.
Do not say such a thing about my lovely child, okay?
Your favorite gun-wielding Bottomon.
I love him so much.
That's my favorite piece of art. We've got a lot of really good stuff in this show. And like the nade on Yamaki's face.
Yamazaki.
And Yamaki's face is really strong. But just like the really stupid Bottomon holding the guns.
See, when I edit this podcast, I constantly like have the desire to know how to draw so I can just have animated adventures of our shows, because sometimes we just talk about some pretty like, well, I think it's funny stuff. And I just wish I could just draw or animate just so I could have like that.
You don't have time.
But I can't, and I also don't particularly have money to commission people, but I do want to commission someone to do more art, but I just don't have the much money because I want to move out, and also I have stuff that I want to buy for the show to show on the show, and it's just
a problem.
It's a problem, but I really like it. And Garjamon,
We've met him before, though. He was in the episode where we saw young Genai for the first time.
I thought that was Mechanorimon.
They were both of them.
Okay, but yeah, I thought we'd met him before, but do you have any more thoughts
He's a
about
tin
him?
can. I don't know. He's a pretty crap Digimon, all things considered.
I love him.
I mean, I'm sure that they're gonna evolve at some point, but it's gonna be really lame when it's like, Godramon turns into Andromon again. Oh, I'm glad to be back in my original form. Speaking of which, is this the first time we've ever seen, at the time, an NPC Digimon de-evolve?
Leomon.
He didn't
Saber
de-evolve,
Leomon.
he died.
Saber Leomon de-evolved to Leomon.
I thought he died.
Nope, he de-evolved to Leomon and then evolves back to Saber Leomon again.
However, we saw him evolve first.
Well, we saw him show up as Saber Leomon and then evolve, and then that's how they found out that he was the same Leomon. But the reason that he could evolve and devolve was because he was near the Digivice's power, and it gave him the power to evolve.
But this is a wild Digimon that de-evolved.
I wish we saw Blackwall Greymon de-evolve.
Yeah, Black Agumon!
Because I feel like, I know that discussion was cute because it was like big monster talking to little dinosaur, but how cute would it be if at the end he would like just become Black Agumon?
I have this like concern that Black Agumon would just be basically Impmon, like in
Yeah,
personality.
in personality,
Like, yeah, I want to be big. Yeah, I want to be strong. He's like kicking dirt at people.
Who's better, Itmon and Beelzemon or Blackwall Greymon?
Beelzemon is better.
Great, thank you.
He has a backstory. It makes kind of sense.
I was so worried.
I'm never calling Blackwall Greymon good. I watched everything he was in. He was pointless and crappy.
For Postmon Pat this week, we have a few messages. First of all, on Gmail, we have Kai Alone, who says that they like Rio and says that Tamers handles him well for what he is. He's in there so fans of the games would be happy and recognise him, but he's not so much in there as to confuse those who didn't play the games.
I feel like actually that balance is pulled off in such a manner that, yeah, he doesn't confuse you if you watch the show, but you're also like, oh, who was that guy? And then he leaves. And if you were intrigued, you're never seeing him again. And if you weren't intrigued, well, then he was boring you for 2 episodes. And if you like the games, he doesn't refer to anything that happens, and so you can't, like, go, oh, that's a thing, and explore what happened after the games. It's just like, well, there he is. It's like Mario showing up and just never talking about anyone else. Just like, I'm Mario, I'm a plumber.
Kylan then says, as somebody who grew up not knowing about the games, they enjoyed the idea of Rio having a partner who was hard to control and too dangerous to be in the real world.
That is actually cool.
Now Kylan says that they know the story of the games. It's even more enjoyable because now there's a reason Cyberdramon is out of control, being, made out of Millenniumon.
He should have explained that and watched everyone freak out.
Like, oh yeah, this kind of happened. It's like, I met my big bad, and then like kind of fused with my Digimon. Now I have an uncontrollable pet, who's a puppy dog apparently. Kylan then says that both Partner and Digimon care for each other, even though Cyberdramon has issues, and then says that explaining Rio in detail would take a lot of time and derail the main cast story. So they had like a backstory episode that explained the Wonderswan games. It would sort of take it away from the main cast.
I think they would have had a really good, like, I'm not sure how well they could have pulled it off, but there's an opportunity for a really funny moment where they're like, what happened? How did you get here? And he goes, well, it's a little complicated. And it like does like 5 flashes of like just a quick image of like the things that happened to vaguely summarize it, which if you don't know is just going to make you go, what happened?
Yeah.
But make him obviously seem very interesting.
You know those strange comics that I have?
All of them?
No, those the Digimon comics that had like the funny scenes that I was taking pictures of like last year.
Not really.
Anyway, so they did a Tamers one. I'm not sure if this one made it in English, but there is one, and it's definitely released in the Italian version, is that when they got to Tamers, they actually had an issue that had Ryo's backstory from the Wonderswan games. So it was there for, non-Japanese release. And this is like I believe the only time that the WonderSwan story has become clear to those who were not in Japan. I found that an interesting little tidbit.
I guess it seems fair. We got one from Chakmon who says that they like Ryo, that he's humble and his humbleness and natural skills seems to annoy people. The humbleness is one thing to an extent.
In the original, he's humble.
That's true.
In the dub, I feel like he's pretty up himself.
I'm remembering that bit in the English where he's like, "You didn't even thank me."
Yeah.
It talks about how the WonderSwan episode of LostinTranslationmon is one of their favorite episodes. I have very little memory of that episode, actually, to be quite honest, because it was me reading something I wasn't reading at the same time.
And you weren't particularly interested at that time.
Because I have no context of it whatsoever, and also it was a long time ago. They had some unanswered questions, such as, why would the moving gears affect Megadramon's ability to move? What's with the Scarecrowmon? What's up with Dogimon? They wonder if this was the episode that put the contest winners Digimon into so Dogimon had a scene. Was Scarecrowmon a contest winner as well? And why else have them if it wasn't to showcase the contest winners? First of all,
I don't think Nihomon is a contest winner. I believe that's just from the card game when they had all the different possible evolutions of the 02 partners with different Digimentals. So I don't believe he's a contest winner, but I could be wrong there.
As far as the moving gears go, the understanding I had was that they're all stopped, and then the gears move again when you fix the clock, and that wakes it up, because it creates a lot of noise and movement in the ground. That was the sense I got. I don't know, that maybe it's really simplistic, but that seemed to be the way to go. And they have questions to us, is what do we think of the digital world of Tamers so far? How about the Digimon perspective on the human world and wanting to go there?
I find that interesting because the digital world is always in the sky, as opposed to the only time the real world was in the sky in Adventure was when there was problems.
I think the digital world's really interesting, except that it's obviously it's a couple degrees more bizarre than it's ever been before.
Yeah.
And it's not the original Adventure version of it, like we found a fridge with eggs in it, but more like we found, I guess in this case, a sake factory run by Gekomon.
Yeah.
Or we're being zapped off into a cloud world with gears. It's not so much more strange, because obviously if you dig into File Island you'll find gears, but it's just a little bit more outwardly odd. What I think is more interesting is the Digimon perspective on the real world. Because it's so always present, all Digimon have opinions about it. You don't get this like, what's the real world? Instead we get, oh, the real world. And I think that gives a lot of them a sense of focus. Mm-hmm. And I think that's very interesting. And finally, they ask... Oh, no, I think that's a statement. That they're enjoying the Applemon podcast so far, which is the independent thing that you're doing.
Yep.
Until there is an English translation for me to look at.
There are fan subs of the first 2 episodes, so I guess we have to watch it together now.
I'm gonna die.
On With the Will, Fexmith says that they've been too busy to comment much lately, but enjoyed and laughs a lot listening. And now they say that since they're used to having a podcast that they're invested in, they care less about other podcasts like This American Life now.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
This American Life is a big popular thing, so...
Yeah, we really appreciate
won.
that. We really like it when people say they're invested in what we're doing, because we do put a lot of time into this, and it takes up a lot of time, and we love doing it. Well, I love doing it.
I suffer for this, but I appreciate when people appreciate my suffering.
Yeah, and we really appreciate when people appreciate our use of time, and thank you. So that means a lot. It makes me happy. Vexmith then says that Applemon is very much a little kid's show, and then suggests that maybe set up some Applemon questions for myself for when I cover the episodes, so there's something to talk about. Because in the last Applemon episode, I was kind of saying, hey, let me know if there's anything I can do. I want to be entertaining. I'm not used to being by my own self. Then Fexmith says that My Tomorrow is the better ending song, and it's the one that has the memorial version, which is the character singing it, which has, like, Leomon singing there with a bunch of girls, and it's, like, I don't know, I like it. It's cute because he's, like, the only male voice, and he sounds pretty done with the idea of being there. On Reddit, we have a comment from Dak and Jackster saying that they were also a tad skeptical about Appmon, mostly because of the monster design. But despite the change in mechanism and terminology, it's not that far off from the original series, and has a quirky sci-fi feel. And so far, they seem to be utilising the app-based monsters theme to a great effect.
I think my problem with it is, like, there's just so many companies that went, oh yeah, you know what's really big right now? iPhones. And so they really went a bit nuts on that, where you get, like, even so far as like Nintendo, you know what's amazing? iPads. So right now we're gonna make the Wii U gamepad. It's an iPad.
Yeah.
And just it feels too much like a huge and actually quite late cash in on modern trends. Which I mean, I get that it's digital and that would make sense for it to be the new thing. But I mean, you can have smartphones in your Digimon show without each individual Digimon being a smartphone app.
Dak and Jackster then says that Rio also does come across as a bit fanficky.
My God, does
It's
he?
not even that he's too perfect. It's just some ones can work in stories like Captain America and Winter Soldier. But Dak and Jackster says that Rio didn't really bring much into the story. Though it was a one-time encounter done mostly for fan service, I guess his inclusion doesn't hurt.
It's a 2-time encounter. He's in 2 episodes. 2 whole episodes of just like being really boring and out of place and taking up the spotlight really heavily.
Digimon Rumble Arena!
For Rumble Arena this week, Stevie asks, which representation of the digital world is better, Tamers or Adventure? Now, my battery's on 10%, so let's do this.
Which one do you think it is?
I feel like I have nostalgia goggles blinding me, and I always say Adventure because of the telephone booths and like the first few episodes just hit me so hard with nostalgia. The trolley car, but that's mainly because I feel so much more nostalgia towards Adventure than any other season of Digimon.
I do actually think that the representation of the digital world in Tamers is better. I like what I really like about it is rather than it sort of dotting, random real world stuff around in it, like that's a phone booth, that's a trolley, that's blah blah blah, all random. Instead, you get all these things that are close but not quite. Like it doesn't really know what these things are, but it's making approximations because that's what it does.
Yeah.
Oh, those aren't radar dishes. Those are rock outcroppings. That's what was it? We just had them in this episode as well. Yeah, like you get the data packets tumbling through, and it sort of bits of the floor are falling apart because just they are. Or the weird blocky cube thing. Just things are way less real because they would be. And also I really do like, and I'm maybe getting sick of it eventually, but I think that it's very fascinating that Digimon have this like aspiration to go to the real world, and there's stuff there for them.
No, I like that too, but I'm pretty sure my reasoning is nostalgia blinders being fully on, and the world in Digimon Adventure is quite similar to the world in Digimon World, where it had all these just random like cords sticking out of places. And just, like, random things from the real world that are just, like, look almost like they've washed up on a beach. And I just feel like, I know, it's quite charming how there's all these things that are just washed up there. We're not sure how, they just sort of came through to the digital world somehow. And they're just there, and they're just, like, remnants of things. And it's especially, like, it sort of, like, tingles my nostalgia again when you're going through the desert, and they have all those phone lines, and there's phone lines everywhere, and it's nostalgia, but it's just, there's something charming and oddly charming about, like, these random things that are just fully there. Not just there as in, like, sort of, like, somewhat imprints, as in, like, those rocks that look like the antennas.
Yeah.
It's just, they're actually there, and it's just, I don't know, it's so weird and so wonderful, and, I don't know, but, yeah, probably nostalgia.
It's less weird than the Tamers one, which is what I like about the Tamers one, I think, is that it feels really like there's a system that you just don't understand. Whereas the Adventure one is very random. Something was washed up on a beach, but primarily you're there for the beach. In Tamers, that section of the beach is made of silver because it is. And that's how it's always been. And the, platinum crabs go over there and dig into it, and you're like, this is all really random. And you're like, no, it's systematic, you just don't know it. And I think that's much more interesting than, there are phone booths over there, because there are. Also, if they are connected, but only to a woman who sasses you.
Yeah, I also feel like the world in Tamers is less interesting to me, just purely because it's, like, mostly what we've seen so far is desert.
That's true.
Sure, we have that pretty forest, and we have that cloud kingdom, which made no sense. But besides that, we've just seen desert, and it's boring desert. It's just desert.
We've had less time there.
Yep.
Because, let's be fair, for the first bunch of Adventure, it was a forest.
Yes, but it was things in a forest, and there was a desert part, but things were in the desert, and there were cute little different villages, and
then there was a
different.
lot of desert.
But each episode had, like, a different landscape, as opposed to Tamers, where it's mostly desert and rocks.
Yeah. I mean, there have been different things in those deserts and rocks, much in the same way there's different stuff in a forest, but sure.
Yeah.
I mean, but broadly, there's more to the Tamers one, and I think that on a basic level it's more interesting.
But as I said, maybe it's just the nostalgia blinding me, but Adventure it's just so charming.
Look, I'm willing to take the win on this one if you want to concede.
Hey,
nostalgia.
no. I just feel like Adventure it's just charming, right?
Look, I'm just saying the two greatest words in the English language: default.
No. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think Adventure or Tamers? I think Adventure because nostalgia.
Who won? Who's next?
You always do that.
You decide. Alright, everybody, join us for the next episode of Anti-Magic Academy. Shibumi Speaks.
Or The Mystery of Gilmon's Birth, the Mystic Water Space.
And Rabbit Transit.
Or Where is Terriermon? Shichun goes to the digital world.
Wait, who's Shochin?
Susie.
Boo! Boo! That's the worst idea ever.
For Weekly Wonders this week, I'm going to recommend another podcast. So please don't stop listening to me, though. It's called Learn Japanese Pod, and it's hosted by Alex and Asuka. And Alex is fluent in Japanese, and he's basically teaching people Japanese, and Asuka is a Japanese lady. I believe she lives in America, and I believe Alex lives in Japan. So it's quite good. I believe there are older episodes, but the ones on iTunes at the moment are their new episodes, so they started again quite recently, and they're doing it monthly is what I can tell so far. So it's quite good. There's only a few episodes because they just started it up, basically. I really highly recommend it because it's pretty good so far. And as I said before, I'm trying to strengthen my Japanese a little bit. And yeah, so if you look for it, the icon is a little green Godzilla guy. It's really cute. And I really recommend it if you're looking to listen to a podcast about Japanese. There are also other ones. There's a lot of them of the Japanese podcasts seem to be ones that are just in purely Japanese, but they speak quite slowly and in easy to understand Japanese, so you can practice your listening. But this is one where they actually teach you phrases and words and some sentence structure, so it's useful for me. What about you?
I've been reading, actually speaking of Japan, I've been reading the book Shogun, which is about a British pilot of a Dutch trading ship that gets stranded on Japan, which is it's sort of based on the actual history of Japan, and like the Portuguese and Spanish had been there for quite a little while beforehand, and it's about him trying to figure out the culture and what's going on, and also have religious wars.
Maybe can you chill? No, how about you chill?
Yeah, so basically it's, that bit in history
knock
of
knock.
Japan.
It's America, and they have boats with guns. Gunboats.
Yeah, that bit in history of Japan where they're like, oh yeah, and well in Nagasaki the British and the Europe and the British and the Dutch would come by and trade there.
Yeah.
Basically 60 years before that the Spanish and Portuguese showed up.
Yeah.
And so this is like the first, at least within the context of the fiction, this is the first time the Dutch and the British had got there, and it's about them dealing with all like the internal politics. And I think it's really fascinating about like you see from the Japanese perspective how they relate to him, and like this weird barbarian who showed up from overseas who looks way different from everyone else. Very much the classic like I didn't know people could have blonde hair. And his relationship to them of like I don't understand the language or the culture at all, but he's working on it. And then you could see a lot of the cool like Japanese, I don't know, like royal politics between daimyos and stuff like that. It's great. It's a good fun book. It's really long though.
Oh, cool. Sounds interesting. But all I'm thinking of right now is history of Japan. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you looked a bit distracted.
Yeah, I was thinking of
Hey, can you not call us a dwarf? How about I do anyway? No,
that's not that one. It's hey, maybe you can stop trying to invade the world. How about I do anyway? I think it's that one.
No, it's what are you? Don't call me a dwarf. What would you like to be called instead?
How about Sunrise Land? Yeah, no, there's that. Yeah, it's a good. Hey, if you've got mail, it's from the new leader of Germany. He has a cool moustache.
Oh my god.
History of Japan's so good. Can I also say that as my weekly wonder?
That's really solid.
It's so good.
It was going to link dump regardless.
It lives in the link dump now. It's the live dump. Speaking of the link dump, you can find that linked in the description. You can contact us and stay updated. You can email us at LostinTranslationmon@gmail.com. Or you can comment on this episode or message us on SoundCloud. You can follow us on @TranslationMon on Twitter and on Vine. And you can also find us on Lost in TranslationMon on Tumblr, Facebook, and YouTube. We have a discussion thread on With the Will and a Reddit thread in the Digimon subreddit, which will also be linked in the description. We'd also appreciate it if you were to review us on iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever podcast listening thingy-majingy you use. If it has a rating system, you should totally do that.
And thank you to our Patreon supporters, Sam Krieger, who hosts a podcast with Stevie called The Moncast, which talks about Pokemon and Digimon alongside each other. Wu Qinglong, who you can find at twitch.tv/Wu Qinglong. Metal Mamemon, Joe, Anime Guy, who you can find at Anime Guy Kurosaki and the number 1 on YouTube. Chakmon, Ishpal Bamba, Hiro Alado, who is at Hiro Alado on Twitter. Jason Morosky, Frost Miragic, who is at Frost Miragic on Twitter. Stephen Reeves, who is at WildWing64 on Twitter. Kaidawashi, Mac, Noam, Riku, Red and Garen from Breakfast with Digimon, which is another Digimon podcast, and Jams.
You can also make a one-off donation on PayPal, which can be found linked in the description. It's paypal.me/airjamon. Make sure to let us know it's for the podcast. And yeah, we're on 4% battery at the moment, so we'll see you guys next week, and I want to go to bed. Bye!
Bye.